and welcome to the next episode of Incites 2025. Today's episode is Mind on the Grind, where we will be chatting about getting ready for exams and looking after our mental health during this busy time.
Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Bedigal people, the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging.
Today we are joined by some special guests and friends who will be sharing their own advice on studying and everything you need to know about how LawSoc can help you through your exams.
So Angelina, Sarveshcika, would you please introduce yourselves, give us a bit about your background and your role in LawSoc?
Hi, I'm Angelina. I'm the Student Wellbeing Director for 2025. I'm in my third year studying commerce and law. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarveshcika and I'm the Student Development Director for UNSW Law Society 2025, and I'm also in my third year and I'm studying law and economics.
Amazing. Okay, what we do with all of our guests on Insights is we start with a few icebreakers. So my first one for you guys is, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh. I think it would just have to be any Taylor Swift song.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a good answer.
That's so
I love a good You Belong With Me.
Yeah.
With my friends.
Maybe like that one Titanic song by Celine Dion.
Oh,
What is
My
it
Heart
called?
Will Go On.
My Heart Will Go On. I think it's a nice melody, you know, and everybody knows the lyrics, so
That's a good one to yell.
yeah.
It's cathartic.
Yeah, so next question. If you had to be a contestant on a reality TV show, which one would you choose?
All the reality TV I watch is like, you know, Love Island or
Yeah,
Married at
Maths.
First Sight, and I would not want to be involved in any of that.
Same. I keep getting ads for The Floor, the new
my
and I was like, that could be
goodness.
fun.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I really wanted to be on My Kitchen Rules with my mum.
Oh my goodness.
Because I'm from Canberra, and Canberra has only ever had a team once, so I was convinced that like maybe my mum and I could like represent.
That's so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
What would you cook?
I don't know, probably a mix of like some traditional foods and other stuff.
I think for me, I don't know if this counts as reality TV, but you know, like Splatter Lot on ABC or Wipeout. Like I always thought, like my toxic trait was I'd like ace that, but yeah,
They need to bring it back.
they do. Yeah.
LawSoc does splat a lot. So today's topic is about preparing for exams, and one of our big questions is, what does student wellbeing mean to us, especially in law school? So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about, you know, what wellbeing means to you.
I think well-being is like prioritizing all areas of your life while keeping on top of your academics, so keeping it very balanced, still making time for the things that you enjoy and spending time with your family and friends, but also knowing how to balance that with your studies. I think it's definitely a hard balance, but one that I think all law students are like always striving to maintain.
I think well-being for me means being in the right state of mind, especially during stressful times like exams, and you know there can be a lot of it in law school, especially when you're in trimesters. So like Angelina said, it's all about that balance so that you're in the right state of mind, and you know, hopefully we can discuss some tips on how to do that today.
Kind of following on from that, so as law students, we obviously have a big study load. People have busy schedules. So can you share some common challenges that law students or yourself might have faced when coming to maintaining well-being?
I think that balance is one of the most challenging parts, especially having to, work while you study and trying to make time for your social life is definitely very hard. Something that I have struggled with, and I know a lot of my friends have struggled with as well.
I think a really big challenge is that everyone who comes into law school has extremely high expectations of themselves. Like, we got into law school because we got, you know, a very good mark in our year 12 studies and, you know, in our high school studies. And I think when you have a lot of people who do very well academically, that can increase a lot of competition. So, and that can obviously have very, very negative repercussions on your mental health. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I faced when I came into law school, is that I wasn't performing as well as I thought I should be.
I think like similar to that too, like comparison. Like it's so natural, especially like when you have to be participating and like you can hear everyone else's thoughts as well. Like you automatically compare what you're thinking to others and then like marks and everything. I think, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like the standard goes up so much in uni compared to high school. So like, yeah, you might have been the top performers at your school, but then you get into law school and there's like future high court justices speaking in class. So yeah, it's a really good point.
On a lighter note, I'd love to hear a bit more about how you guys actually prepare for exams. So I'll actually ask Will first. What is on your study playlist?
My study playlist is like wildly variant. So some days it's like lo-fi, like ASMR lo-fi, and some days it's like hardcore, like hard style and stuff. So it just really depends what kind of mood I'm in. But either one of those.
No, I'll second the lo-fi. I love a good lo-fi. But otherwise, I would say on my playlist is, do you guys know Coconut Mall from Mario Kart?
I can second the Mario Kart, for sure.
I have that on repeat sometimes when I really need to lock in and just get some stuff done. But yeah, what about you guys?
Okay, so mine is really random and it's actually not a playlist, but I don't know if you guys played Pop Tropico when you were younger, but it's basically this like adventure game. Back in like 2010 or whatever, it made you wait for the longest time before you could actually play it. And there's this one introduction like theme song that they would keep playing on loop. And I found a 3-hour version of it on YouTube and I've just been listening to that to get my work done. It's incredibly nostalgic and it's calming, and I listen to it 3 hours at a time and then I take a break.
That sounds like the perfect study song.
Yeah.
What about you, Angelina?
I can definitely say that lo-fi has been very helpful during like peak assessment and exams. But if it's more of like a chill study session, or if like I'm really low on energy, I quite like house music because I'm like, I just need to bring my own energy back up. And for some reason it helps me lock in. So probably, house music and lo-fi.
And what is the maybe strangest or weirdest study tip that you swear by when it comes to preparing for exams?
I would say chewing gum. I don't think that's the weirdest because a lot of people do it, but I only consciously started chewing gum when I was studying because it actually helps you concentrate a lot better. They've actually done like studies on it, so I'm not just making it up, but apparently chewing gum can help you study and focus and help with concentration. So there you go. It's not bad for your health at all. Just don't swallow it. So
I can definitely second the chewing gum. It definitely helps you lock in. And I'm a very snackish person, so I'm always looking for some snacks and food. And I feel like when I'm eating, I can't concentrate or lock in. So chewing gum really helps with that. Other than that, I don't think I have any.
What about you, Angelina?
I just really like color coding things. Like I just color code all of my notes to like my highlighters to my like flags, and just every topic gets a color. And so it just helps me organize my notes and remember things better, which is a great segue into our next question, which is how do you guys go about structuring your notes for exams? I think everyone has such a different way of doing it. It's really personal. How do you guys approach notes?
Well, I personally like to do mine in like a flow chart type structure. So I think I like to start each concept with just like, very basic flow chart, like what's the first step, whatever legal issue it is that you're studying, and then the next one. And then I like to go into a little bit more depth by doing a table with each of these steps, and then just explaining the law and the cases and the statute that goes along with it, and really flesh out whatever we learnt in class in those tables, because I just can't seem to function with dot points and just pages and pages of notes. So having very concise little tables really helps me see what it is that I need to be doing.
Yeah, I think it helps if you're like a visual learner as well. Like it helps you visualize what's happening. I would say the same. Flowcharts are really helpful for me. But then I also like having practice questions in my notes so that you can see how you've applied that flowchart, and you can kind of refer to it in exams, and it makes it easier for you to match the facts up to the exam questions and help it all flow nicely.
Okay, sub question: loose paper, binder, folder, like how are you reading these notes in? Because most of our exams are in person, they're invigilated in a hall. So
it's a binder for me.
Okay, me too.
I print out my notes. I don't handwrite them, I print them out, and then I think it just really helps if all of your notes are in one place. For my very first exams, I just had the papers that I printed out very like loosely around, and it was very, very hard for me to keep track, especially when you have like a tiny little table. So I've actually started putting my notes in a binder, and it's so much more easier to flick through and keep a hold of when you're in the exam. How about you?
I'm very similar, but I get all of my notes printed at Officeworks and then I get them to bind it into like a book,
Okay.
which is like so expensive, but I just find it so much easier to flick through, and like I just put tabs in where I need them. Yeah, I feel like a binder is definitely more cost efficient, and it like is the same thing, but I feel like while I'm there I'm just like, yeah, just put it in a little book for me as well.
So at home, do you just have like a pile of these
Yeah.
from previous exams?
Yeah. It's in like the magazine, like what are they called? Like the holders, and
Yeah.
there's just each subject there.
Will, you're in your 5th year, so you've done quite a few exams. What about you? How do you go about preparing?
I'm one of those people that, brings in a massive folder, like with entire like acts and stat sheets and stuff, and I just smash it down on the desk to intimidate people. But other than that, I think using tabs is really important. So in the exam, obviously, you don't have time to like be reading all your notes again. So make sure you're color coded and organized so you can flip to it quickly. Other than that, I think from before, when I was like in the early stages, I was like a very kind of size 12 font caliber, like notes, paragraphs and pages. But as you go through law school, you start to realize that even just like keywords or like buzzwords are really useful just to jog your memory about a certain case. So that's probably what I'd recommend.
When it comes to practice exams, when do you guys do them? The day before the exam, 2 weeks before? I think that's something that I still struggle with figuring out when to do, even in my 3rd year. So maybe Angelina?
I feel like at least a few weeks before, if you've got the time, but then you also want to leave enough time so that you've revised each topic so that you can do the past paper. I think that doing past papers also take out what you don't know and make it very apparent. So definitely not too close to the exam, I feel, because then it leaves room for you to go back and revise the things that you weren't able to answer.
For me, it would be, I like to do my problem questions as I'm doing my revision. So if I've just done a big section, if I've just finished doing one area, then I like to look at that issue in the problem question and then just do it as I go along. But I would definitely agree with Angelina and say that at least 1 week before, I'd like to direct all my focus on just problem questions and just work on them.
All right, so moving on from that, so obviously it's game day of the exam. We'd like to ask you guys, what are your exam day rituals? We might start with you, Angelina.
My exam day ritual, I try to get up decently early. Like I try my best to make sure that I do get a good night's sleep before the exam, just because I know that it will really impact me, especially with morning exams. So I'll get up, I'll have a good breakfast. I do not have a printer at home, so 9 out of 10 times I will be going to print my notes the morning of if I haven't already printed off like parts of them. So I'll probably head to uni quite early and finish printing those off, finish organising them, and then, I don't know, I just really like being by myself before an exam, because I think, when you meet everyone at the exam hall, it can get a bit hectic. Some people, are the type of people that are like, revising at the very last minute by asking each other questions, but I think that can be quite stressful, so I try to really limit the time that I'm spending around other people before the exam, just so you can really focus on the exam itself and be reassured that you have done enough prep, that you do know what's going on, and that it will be fine. Yeah, that's my ritual.
Yeah, that's so true. I feel like you don't want to get asked a question by someone else and you have no idea how to answer it. So it's good to have some alone time. What about you, Sarveshcika?
I think I would agree. I think getting a good night's sleep is very, very important, and waking up quite decently early, as you put it. I like to do, if it's not a 9 a.m. exam or, somewhere in the morning time, I like to do some physical activity, like going for a walk or even just doing something inside the house. I'm not going to the gym. So just, to wake up the brain and just do some positive affirmations, because I know it can get quite stressful, like you said, especially like on campus when everyone else is around your exam room. And I think doing positive affirmations in front of a mirror, like at home or even at uni before your exam starts, can be quite reassuring. On my way to campus, I do actually like to read my notes, because I think I can get quite anxious just those last few hours before the exam, and I find it quite reassuring to read my notes on public transport. I just highlight as I go along, but yeah, I don't like to surround myself with too many people as well, because it can really cause some self-doubts, especially, everyone learns differently, and I think it's best to be confident in what you do.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Angelina?
Yeah, very similar. I think, getting up decently early, getting a good night's sleep. For me, I public transport to uni, but on exam days I have to drive. I'm not sure what it is. I just don't trust in public transport at all. And I feel like it just takes my mind off thinking about the exam and just helps me calm down a bit. I don't mind surrounding myself with people, just for a little bit at least, to try and get the nerves out. So I'm not I feel like I'm very in my head if I'm by myself all the time. But then definitely right before the exam, being by myself and just listening to music, I think helps. Just to either hype up music or just calming music, I think really helps. And sometimes I like to reread problem questions that I've done so that I kind of get into the mindset of how I'm writing and the structure and the, language that we need for exams. Yeah.
So in some, not all of our exams, oftentimes it'll be problem question, essay. Which of the two, which one do you guys start with if you have the options?
Normally I'll just take a read of the entire exam. So I'll look at the essay question as well as the problem question. So that way I can think about the essay question while I'm doing the problem question. So a bit of multitasking. But normally I start with the problem question because I feel like there's a limit on what you can write.
Yeah.
And then once you get that out of the way, an essay could technically go on forever. So I approach it kind of in that order.
I'm quite similar with that, yeah. I'll do problem question while thinking about the essay question in the back of my mind. But what about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely read the essay question first, because I think I'm always more worried about my essay question, because law theory is just, it's so different. So I like to read the essay question first, and I totally agree. You're subconsciously thinking about your essay question while you're reading your problem question and doing it. So I like to start the question that's weighted more, which is probably the problem question, and then work on my essay. So yeah, I'm right up there with you guys.
Yeah, probably same. I think the only time that I've done the essay first is if I've had a practice essay that's exactly or almost exactly matched up with the actual essay. So I'm I can just kind of tweak it a little bit and go through it quickly and then go back to the problem question. 9 times out of 10, I'm doing the problem question first.
So apart from exams, what we've talked about as well is it's really important to take some time to look after yourself and look after your mental health in the midst of having to do so much study. So what do you guys do during exams to look after yourself, whether it be, hanging out with friends or doing any hobbies that you like? Angelina?
Yeah, I think spending time with friends and family is something that just always takes my mind off, regardless of how stressful the term is or exams are. And then I also just going for walks, I think you mentioned earlier, to clear my mind. And then any social event, if my friends are going for brunch, I'll go with them. It just helps me stay distracted, but then also I'm comfortable with my friends, so I feel like it takes my mind off things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it would have to be some sort of physical activity, even if not gym, walks, or just at home. As long as you have a mat, you can basically do anything these days. So I like to do Pilates on YouTube. So yes. It's only 10 or 20 minutes, and
you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, and you feel so much more refreshed after that. I think that can help, especially when you're having mind blocks or you're feeling quite procrastinated. So that's what I like to do to keep myself.
I can second the Pilates for sure. Yeah. I feel like it's exercise without feeling like you're exercising. It's a lot more calm.
What about you, Will? What do you do to unwind, to relax during exams?
I'd probably second the physical activity. I'd say gym, just kind of locking in there. Other than that, I'd say study calls, even though sometimes they're not the most productive, especially if you're with your close mates. But I feel like it's a good way to unwind as well as be somewhat productive as well. So that's probably my way to unwind. What about you?
I like to work in a bit of relaxation when it comes to studying. When I study, I'll often study outside places like libraries or like cafes and stuff. So our last question is, what LawSoc initiatives are there to help students out during exams?
I think we run a lot of wellbeing and study events. So for wellbeing, we've got Wellbeing on Wheels at the end of each term, where you can come get a care package from us, or we'll also be around the library. Wellbeing Week in week 7 of each term is also a really good opportunity to attend some events to just take your mind off things and relax a bit. We always have a wide range of activities and events, so I think those are the big two for wellbeing.
3 things from me. I think revision workshops, which is when student volunteers present a course, and it's just basically like a lecture setting, and it's recorded and it's available online for each. We try to do one for each course. Briefing buddies, which is when we offer you a room and you can just do your own study in your own time. And the last one is the AGLC4 citation guide. If you have a final, which is a hand-in, like an essay or a problem question, you can use our citation guide for, quick tips, and it's just a quick resource so that you don't have to go through all 500 pages of the AGLC4. So yeah, that's available on our website.
Perfect. I think that'll be great for all of our students to know about what LawSoc can do to help with exams. Thank you so much to our guests for today and joining us on Insights. We will see you guys next time for our next episode.